Hey, how's it going? Hope you're having a shit one. Nice, quick, simple one for you today. I'm gonna share with you 3 things that I've been using recently. Use a fire extinguisher to get this effect going over here. And as you can see when I zoom in, there's a lot of noise. Now, if you've got the most recent up-to-date Lightroom, if you scroll down here, you'll come into noise reduction, just in your detail section. And if you click on that, you're gonna get this little pop-up window. This is probably something you may already know, but I've been using this for about a month or so now, and it is amazing. I'm gonna just put it up to like, what, 50%, bang, and look at that. Within one go, a few seconds. I've been using Lightroom for years and always trying to fuck around with the noise reduction before like this whole AI thing came out was an absolute nightmare. And it always just made your images look weirdly soft and strange. I find that this denoise works really well, especially on car photography or urban photography. I've heard it doesn't work too well on portraits, but I don't know that because I don't really shoot portraits, I shoot cars, and it works great, so not complaining there. So that is one thing that also sort of makes the Sony bragging rights a little less commendable, because the whole reason you get a Sony is so you can brag at how good it is at night and how good your low light capabilities are. But with this noise reduction will pretty much work on any sensor. So it doesn't matter if you shoot Sony, Fuji, Canon, nigga, you can denoise your photos. I shot this at 1600 ISO. Look at the difference there, you know? So when I'm shooting now, I'm not as careful with the ISO function as much anymore, because I know I can just sort of bring my photos into Lightroom, chuck on the denoise, and they're as good as gold. And even when I'm not shooting with high ISO, even if I'm shooting 100, 200 or whatever, I still add on the denoise because it just adds this extra cleaner layer, if that makes sense. Just helps it bring it together a bit more, I find. Another thing is, in the same thing, if we just come to this photo here and we just smack a little edit on it, and we're just gonna pretend that we're just gonna pretend I photoshopped him out, because I can't be fucked doing that. We're gonna come down here again into the denoise section, but this time we're gonna untick it, and you'll see raw details and super res. And super res, I'm pretty sure these have been around for a little while now, so you probably know about it. I don't really use raw details as much because super resolution more or less does the same thing. But with super resolution, you will get a 2 times linear enhancement, which means it'll make your image 2 times wider and 2 times longer. Essentially meaning your image is gonna have 4 times the amount of pixels in it. So when you're doing massive crops or you wanna print it huge, a super resolution enhancement is actually really gonna help your image. Here's a photo that I took at Goodwood, and I was using a 7200 and it was just not enough for the event. I cropped my image in, it looks shit. I put on super resolution and I was just able to crop it even more, and this is my final image. Moving into Photoshop Beta. I'm sure some of you would have heard about Photoshop Beta by now with this generative fill. It's been around everywhere. I'm not a huge fan of AI, so I haven't really talked about it much on this channel. I was playing around with it, and by the way, if you don't know how to get Photoshop Beta, because this was what was cooking me, you go into your Creative Cloud and it's a completely different thing to Photoshop. So there's Photoshop, and then you'll see there's another thing to download literally called Adobe Photoshop Beta, and that's what you download, just in case you didn't know. So when you open it up, you'll get a thing when you can just sort of open up something here and then just come into generative fill and type in whatever you want. So I recently did a shoot and I tried to change a few things around, and obviously it's still the beta version, so you know, it's not gonna be perfect. Here are some attempts that it recently did for me. But when it does work, you can actually do some pretty cool things with it. Like for this image, for example, I just wanted to change it to snow, which I think it actually did a pretty good job of. Most of the time using generative fill, it looks like a 5-year-old has drawn something with a crayon over your image. So obviously it's still got a long way to go, but you can do really cool things like this. However, for me, it doesn't really matter how good generative fill gets, because at the end of the day, I didn't take this photo. So I can add snow, and I could make it, you know, autumn, could bloody put a waterfall in here, it doesn't matter. Like, you didn't take the photo. The whole part about it being cool is when you can actually stand there or go into those conditions and actually take that shot. For me, it doesn't matter how good it gets, it's never going to have the same credibility as actually taking the shot. Again, however, I'm gonna be an absolute hypocrite right now and use it for one of my shots. Where it does come in handy is, for example, like filler images if you're making a set for Instagram. And let's say, for example, I have this photo here and I want it 4x5, but it's shot landscape. I'm gonna crop my image to 4x5. That's the Instagram crop. Press M, select the area you want it to fill area. And it'll always give you 3 options. And we can come in here, fill area, and it'll make something like this. So I've gone from a landscape image now to a 4x5, ready for Instagram. This is not gonna work for every single image. This only works because it's a fairly simple photo. There's a lot for Photoshop to work with the roof lining and the ground. It's not gonna work for very complicated images. For little simple images like this, where you just wanna change it to 4x5 and it'll just create backgrounds and foregrounds for you, I think that's really cool. Well, that's it from me. I'm actually about to head off to London and New York after that. So I got some pretty cool stuff and I'm excited to share with you over the next few weeks and months. But yeah, I just wanted to jump on here quickly and show you those few things that I've been using. Thank you very much. Have a shit one. I'll see you in the next one.